Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yoga. I've got Christian here with me on his Rav Bass drum, and I'm Mickey. And some props that I like to use for our gentle class are blocks, a blanket, a strap, and if you have a tennis ball, I forgot to actually check in with people if they have a tennis ball, and mine's all hidden now anyway. But maybe we'll do some work with the tennis ball. So you might find that, or any kind of ball. It could be a racket ball. I also have a chair, and that can be helpful for support. And you're always welcome to use the chair. I can find my tennis ball. Here it is. Um, Instead of sitting on the floor or for any of the shapes, if you want to find a nice, comfortable chair or couch or bed, I encourage you to do whatever works for you today in your own body. So we'll get started in a restorative shape, remembering that everything is optional. So I'm going to take the blanket and unfold it. And I have a nice wool blanket, so it's pretty flat. But I'll make a small roll, and I really love this for upper back stretch. But if it feels too intense, you're remembering that anything you want to switch up, you're welcome to do. So I'm going to bring the blanket down onto the ground, and then I'll have the blocks close by, and I'll have a tennis ball close by. And then you can come onto your seat, maybe walk yourself forward, use your hands to help you lean back, and then find that blanket roll right underneath your heart, allowing yourself to settle in. You could open through your chest, allowing your shoulders to sink back. And maybe it would feel good to cactus the arms. But if that feels too intense, you could always open them to a T. Or you might even bring your hands to rest right on your stomach. With your legs, you could walk the feet as wide as the mat, allowing the knees to tent in towards each other for support. Or some people like a little bit of a hip opener here. You could bring the soles of the feet to touch, allow the knees to fall open, and maybe you slide those blocks right underneath your knees. As you come into this position, give yourself permission that maybe your practice today is this. All of the movement we call the asana is all optional. So just allow yourself to melt in to whatever opening position feels right for you in your body. And then imagine yourself receiving the support of the earth, melting away tension, melting away holding. Just like we plug in all of our amazing electronic devices, we might imagine ourselves for a moment plugging into the earth, receiving its nourishment, receiving its support. Give yourself this moment to feel swaddled and cradled, making yourself as comfortable as possible. So that might mean switching it up from something I already offered to something of your own creation. Take a moment to tune in with all the layers of yourself. All the different versions of yourself, past and present. And then imagine you're able to bring your awareness, almost like a little version of yourself, maybe at any age, down into your heart center. Once you arrive there, you might notice a flickering flame, like a candle or a little bonfire. Imagine there's a message for you there. Maybe it's something that you would like to cultivate, possibly an intention for your practice today. And if you'd like a suggestion for an intention in our series, we are now at the third yama. The third yama is called asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. I just have a few short readings from the book The Yamas and the Niyamas by Deborah Adele. She says, when we compare ourselves to others, we find ourselves lacking, which makes us feel cheated, or we find ourselves superior, which leaves us feeling arrogant. The third jewel, asteya, or non-stealing, calls us to live with integrity and reciprocity. If we stop long enough to gaze at what is laid out before us, to let the mystery of beauty and the wonder of the seasons sit deeply in our souls, our hearts cannot help but burst forth with thanksgiving and gratitude to life itself. Inborn in this kind of wonder is gratitude for where our life came from and the indebtedness to the future. I am reminded of the native wisdom to make all decisions as if they mattered 7 generations into the future. Allow those words to just fall wherever they may. Whatever intention you choose for your practice today, allow yourself to use it as a touch point, a place to come back to if your thoughts begin to wander. You might literally practice bringing yourself back, like almost thinking of it as a repetition, not to shame ourselves or judge, but to just notice where our mind goes, and then use that awareness to bring ourselves back into the present, back into the breath, back into the practice of our intention. If you're ready to invite some movement into the body, you can decide, does that blanket roll feel good? If it does, go ahead and leave it there. You can sweep your arms out to the sides, and then maybe if your knees are open wide, you can touch your thighs and bring your knees up to the sky. And then from here, we'll spread the arms open into a T. On the next exhale breath, go ahead and sweep your arms up towards the sky, and then cross your right arm over the top of the left. Maybe you bring your right hand to your left shoulder, and you can just give it a little rub. torso to find its way, slowly creeping over that blanket roll, so that maybe the blanket roll is massaging other places of the spine, just with a little bit of gentle pressure. And then take a moment to come back to stillness. Take a nice deep breath, expanding the whole back body. And then we'll inhale, sweep the arms out wide to the sides, and exhale to soften here. Just take a moment to notice, relaxing the gaze, relaxing the effort. And then take a moment to call to mind one person that you'd like to send a big, nice hug to. It could be a person living or dead. Reach your fingertips out to the sides, and then on the exhale breath, we'll sweep the arms up, crossing the left arm over the top of the right. You can take your left hand and gently give your shoulder a little squeeze, a little massage. And then maybe you want to find that gentle rocking motion. Maybe this time you're allowing your torso to creep down the length of the mat. Just finding some other places for the blanket to gently massage the spine. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then on your next inhale, you can open your arms out wide to the sides. If that blanket is feeling okay, leave it there. If you're ready to unroll it, you could press your feet into the mat, lift the hips, and then unroll the blanket so now it'll be flat on the mat. From here, we'll walk the feet as wide as the mat, clear out any blocks that might be in the way, and then you can open your arms out to a T. Allow the right knee to fall down towards the left heel. And then you can sweep your gaze over towards the right hand. Just allow yourself a moment to soften here. On the next inhale, we'll lift the nose and the knees back to center. Exhale, soften the left knee over towards the right heel and turn your gaze over to the left. Allow yourself a moment to soften here. Letting yourself melt towards the ground. And then on the next inhale, we'll sweep the knees back up to center. You can take a few rounds of breath, windshield wipering the knees side to side. If you feel like you want to stay, you want to move a little more slowly, you can always just pause. So find the pace that works best for you. Breathing into those areas of sensation, find that gentle curve in your spine. Just take a moment to marvel at its intricate design. We'll take one more nice deep breath on each side. And then when you're ready, you can come back to center. From here, let's go ahead and take your strap if you have one, or any other item. You could even use like a dish towel or the sash of a robe maybe. And then we'll hug the knees in towards the chest. You can either plant your palms on your knees, or maybe you wrap the strap around your shins and take some nice big circles with the knees. Breathing into the low back, a gentle massage of your sacrum on the ground. When you're ready, you can reverse the direction of those knee circles. We'll take one more nice deep breath. And then when you're ready, you can come back to center. Release the feet down to the mat. And for this next pose, it might be helpful to use something like a chair or even a wall. So you might get yourself close to a wall. I'm going to use the chair for support. You want something that hopefully you can kind of press against and it's not going to slide. This is actually not that item because as I'm pressing on it, it is sliding. But I'll just use it for demonstration purposes. So from here, we're going to come into figure 4. So you're still on your back, possibly, or you could also do this from a seat. And then you wouldn't have to even use any prop at all. You could cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh, and maybe this is enough sensation here. Some people really like to, I find this a little bit tender of an area, but some people like to use the block, or I mean not the block, the ball to offer the hip area and glutes a little massage. So if I'm crossing I'm doing it on the other side for demonstration, but if I'm crossing my left ankle over my right thigh, I could bring the ball right underneath the glutes, right into the hip area. And maybe it feels good. If it feels too intense, you could also put like a blanket or a towel over the top of the ball just to soften it. Some places they sell squishy balls that are a little bit gentler. Now, if you want to take this hip stretch a little further, one option is to bring the thigh in towards the chest. So I'm lifting my right leg off of the ground. But if I don't want to have to wrap my hand around my thigh, I could use a strap behind the thigh, or I could use that prop. Like I really love to do this one at the wall and allow my foot to rest on the wall. Right now, if I press my foot into my chair, it slides away from me. So that's really not the support that I'm looking for. Thanks anyway, chair. But even just resting my heel on the chair can help so that I don't have to use my upper body to draw the shape into my chest. So allow yourself to find whatever is going to be supportive and comfortable here, allowing yourself to maybe close down the eyes or soften the gaze. And if you wanted, you could even lengthen that top leg up towards the sky. But really, we're finding sensation maybe in the hip joint. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. I think this stretch, the request was made about sitting cross-legged, and we'll talk about that later, but I think the request was made that we warm up through the hips. So I'm hoping that this figure 4 pose is a nice stretch for the hip joint. And you can always make it softer. Remember, you can always lower the foot down to the ground. Anyway, let's do that. Let's return to our starting position and maybe even stretch the legs long for a moment. We have the knees bent for a while. Now my feet are hooked under my chair. Maybe stretch the arms overhead. Find a nice long body stretch. And then we're going to get ready for the other side because we're so lucky we have 2 sides. Rainbow the hands down to the hips. And then you can press into just take your other one if you stayed on the right, but I have my right ankle over my left thigh, and you could stay right here. Maybe this is enough sensation. You might even use your hand and gently press your right thigh away, perhaps even flexing your right toes towards your knee. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can wrap a strap behind the left thigh if you want to lengthen your arms, and then draw the shape into the body. Or maybe even use that left foot on a bit of support by pressing it into the wall or a chair. I could even drag this chair closer and allow my heel and calf even to rest on the chair so that the chair doesn't push away from me. The weight of my leg is helping to hold it steady, and then if I wanted to, we could use that tennis ball, find some massage for the glute, the hip, maybe even into the lower back, whatever would feel comfortable for you. You don't want it to be painful. Have your nervous system seize up. You want to find some soothing sensation. Allow your breath to find its way to that area of sensation, maybe in the hip. You might imagine that your heart center is producing little bubbles of gratitude overflowing. Allow those bubbles of gratitude to come down into the hip. We'll take one more nice deep breath here, and then you can release this side. I'm going to press this chair away from me, and then let's take a nice long body stretch here. Maybe reaching your arms long. You could start to wiggle your fingers, rotate your wrists and your ankles, wiggle your toes, and just tune your awareness into those joints. Marvel at their capacity for movement and all the different ways in which they can move. Just notice any sensations that are arising, any places of interest. And then when you're ready, we'll rainbow the fingertips back down. And then let's plant the feet on the mat one more time. We're going to get into a bridge prep. So from here, we're going to work on strengthening through our core and into our pelvis. So we're going to inhale. Imagine your pelvis is a nice big bowl. And just take a moment to marvel at that design. And then with your inhale, you can start to peel your low back away from the mat. Imagine you could even slide your hands. You could even, if you wanted to, slide them underneath your low back. Allow your belly to fill with breath. And then on the exhale, we'll gather the resources of our strength, our core, our will. Start to draw the belly button towards the spine as you press the low back towards the mat. You might even feel your pelvis start to tilt so that your sit bones are shining up towards your knees. Go ahead and find your breath, inhaling to tilt the pelvis forward, fill the belly with breath, exhale, tilt the pelvis back, press the low back towards the mat. You might even find a little lift in your pelvis, bringing it up off the ground. Inhale to lower gently, opening up, filling up with breath, and then exhale, finding that movement, strengthening through sky. And maybe you start to make this a bigger movement, lifting a little higher each time into your bridge. Starting to work your way up into balancing almost on the shoulder blades as your spine peels up off the mat. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then on your exhale, go ahead and press up into a bridge. You can either stay in an active bridge, you might bring your hands down and maybe you squeeze your palms together underneath you, perhaps shimmying the shoulders together. Or you could use a prop like a block to find a supported bridge, sliding it right underneath your sacrum. So all of these things are optional. Staying either in an active bridge or a nice supported bridge, or even just coming onto your back, coming back to that original constructive rest pose. If you're in the supported bridge or the active bridge, at any time, you could try sliding either one leg up towards the sky, or maybe both legs up towards the sky. Coming into a gentle inversion. You can also do this with your back flat on the mat. You could also lasso the legs with your strap for support. But as you lift your legs up, and maybe you're doing one at a time, just take a moment to admire your feet. Send your feet so much gratitude, and maybe you're rotating the ankles, finding any places of tension or holding, allowing that to melt away with the breath. On your next exhale breath, we'll land the feet back down to the mat. Press into the heels to lift the hips and slide the block out from underneath you. Go ahead and roll your spine all the way back down to the mat. Now I want to offer a few options for some self-massage with either a tennis ball or the block. So you can try these things out, just see how they feel, and everything is optional. So one part of the body we were talking about before class is right here at the base of the skull. So what I like to do with the block is lift my head, bring the block in my hands, and then bring my head to rest on that block so that the base of my skull is resting right on that edge of the block. And then with the block there, I can kind of gently rock my head a little bit side to side, just to find that gentle pressure, allowing for a gentle massage at the base of the skull. Now, if that's not where it's at for you, no pressure. You can try it out. If it doesn't work or it's not comfortable, feel free to discard the idea. I could honestly stay here all day. I carry a lot of tension right there in the base of the skull. So that would be one option. Another option could be a gentle massage along the spine or on the side of the spine and in between the shoulder blades. So I'll roll over onto one side. I'm going to roll onto my right side. I'll bring the ball into my left hand and then sweep the ball back behind me so that I'm landing it between my shoulder blade and my spine. And then I'll come back to roll on top of the ball. Maybe if it's too intense, I could stay a little on my right side. Or I could land all the way onto my back, but that might be a little too intense. Remember, you could soften the pressure with a blanket or by rolling off of it a little bit. Playing around with what feels good to you in your body and allowing yourself to soften. Breathing into any areas of tense sensation. And you could also gently rock the body by pressing the feet into the mat and gliding your torso up and down. Just finding a gentle massage along the outer edge of the shoulder blade, in between that area and the spine. And once more, this reminds me I could probably stay here all day as well. When you're ready, we'll switch sides if you're using the tennis ball, so you can roll back onto your right side, reach back behind you to grab the tennis ball, roll onto your back, and then soften here for a moment before you're going to switch sides. Just allow that area of the body to rehydrate and soften. And then I'm going to switch and roll over to the left side, bring the ball into the right hand, sweep it back behind me so I can place it in between the shoulder blade and the spine, rolling back onto the back body. Allow yourself to soften here. And you might even allow the body to glide a little bit up and down, pressing into the heels, allowing your self to glide along the length of the ball, or the ball along the length of that area between the shoulder blade and the spine. And this could be upper back or middle back. You get to decide. This is your own practice. You are your very own best teacher, allowing yourself to stay curious and compassionate, which is also a practice. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll roll off to the side, and you can remove that ball for now. Next, we're going to come into, actually, let's come up to our seat. So you can hug your knees in towards your chest, rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, or roll onto one side and press yourself up into a seat. So let's talk about, we're not going to stay long in our seated position, and if cross-legged isn't going to be comfortable, that's okay too. You don't have to stay here long, or you could choose to sit in a chair instead. So I'm going to move some of these props out of the way. And then from here, I'll take my blanket. Now, I would say if sitting cross-legged feels like a goal to you, it doesn't have to be though. Raising your seat a little bit could be helpful. So you could even use like a big pillow or a blanket to sit on. Something that could help lift the hips a little bit up so that the hips are maybe higher than the knees. Or I would say come to sitting in a chair, because the main thing is to try to be comfortable. Another option could be maybe it's hard on the knees, so you could possibly open the knees out wide, or the legs out wide, if this is more comfortable. So come to whatever situation would feel most comfortable for you. And we're just going to do a little bit more with the neck. So on your next exhale, allow your head to start to gently bow towards your heart. As you gaze downward, you can either soften your gaze or close down your eyes. And then with your next inhale, sweep your arms out wide to the sides, lift them up and overhead, and then you can interlace them. Allow your hands to just gently rest on the back of your head. You can allow your elbows to close down. And you're just finding just a gentle stretch through the upper back. Then then on the next inhale, we'll start to lift the head up, bringing the elbows with you. You can start to lift the gaze, cradling the head in the hands, lifting the elbows up towards the sky. On the next exhale, we'll bring the head back to neutral. And then maybe once more, without cranking or pressing too hard, just allow the weight of gravity to allow your head to bow towards your heart. Inhale, lift the head, lift the heart, lift the gaze and the elbows. Go ahead and take 2 more nice deep breaths like this. Next time you come up, we'll look up, and then inhale, open the elbows wide to the sides, and you can bring the hands down now onto the shoulders. Let's take a few shoulder circles. So we'll inhale, bring the elbows out in front, sweep them up and around. Just find that nice rotation for the shoulders. The direction of the elbow circles. When you're ready, finding some nice big rotations with the shoulders, if it feels good. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll come back to center. You can release the hands, give them a nice little shake. And then if it's feeling comfortable wherever you're seated, you can always do cat and cow from a seat, or I'm going to be coming into tabletop hands and knees. So whatever feels more accessible to you. Remember, you can always sit in a chair too. If you're going to try cat and cow seated, you might bring your hands to your knees or to your shins, and then we can inhale, lift the heart, exhale, round into the spine. So we call this one cow pose with the heart lifted. Nice big back bend. Exhale. Go ahead and round into your cat. So either from seated, or if you want to come to hands and knees, you could pad underneath the knees with a blanket. That could be nice and supportive. Another way to take some pressure off of the wrists is to bring blocks into the situation by bringing forearms onto blocks. And then from here, we can lower the belly. Inhale for cow pose. Exhale, round into the spine for cat. Go ahead and take a few more rounds of breath, moving through your cat and your cow. As you move your spine, once more, can you envision those beautiful bubbles of gratitude making their way to almost like scrub the spine of any debris, any stagnation. And then at a certain point, it might feel good to explore any other movements in the body that would feel comforting, curious to you. Maybe drawing a big circle with the belly button, just like tracing the inside of a hula hoop. If you're moving in one direction, allow yourself to find the opposite movement. fold forward, or you could come to hands and knees for child's pose. If you'd like to take a supported child's pose, you might bring a bolster in between the knees. So you could open the knees wide, bring the big toes to touch, allow the torso to come down towards the ground or a prop. And then if you're resting your body on a pillow, you could bring one ear towards the mat or towards the prop. This could be a really nice gentle neck stretch as well. So sometimes even just in a regular child's pose without the bolster, you could bring one ear to the mat and then the other ear towards the mat. So find your version of child's pose, or maybe you prefer downward facing dog instead. So for down dog, you could bring your hands to the mat, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back. Just allow yourself to explore either option. Maybe a little of each. Child's pose, see about making your way to hands and knees, and we're going to be coming onto the bellies next. So you might decide not to have the blanket underneath you, and in that case you can fold it off to the side. You could come straight down onto your belly, but if you'd like to play around with either plank, a high plank, you could come onto the palms of your hands, tuck the toes under, lift the knees, or you could stay on the knees, or you could always play around with a forearm plank by bringing the forearms down to the earth, walking the knees back, and then maybe playing around with tucking the toes under and lifting one knee or both knees. Take as many rounds of breath in plank. Allow yourself to play around. And then we'll lower onto the belly, untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat. You could stack the elbows underneath the shoulders, plant the palms on the mat, and lift the heart for Sphinx pose. You might inhale to roll the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, allow them to cascade down your spine. If that feels good, take a few more shoulder rolls. And then on your next inhale, we'll make our way down to Makrasana Crocodile. You could stack the palms, lower the forehead down, or rest one cheek at a time. But allow your forehead to rest heavy on the back of your hands. And right now, just allow yourself to delight in this time of rest. You might even imagine like cleaning house. Anything that no longer serves you in your mind is able to transport from your mind down your hands and fall into the earth, just like compost. On the next inhale, we'll lift the head, and then you can slide the hands back behind you. Flip the palms so the back of the hands are resting on the mat, and then you might turn your gaze to the left so that your right temple can make its way down to the mat. Maybe you tuck the toes under and glide the body forward just to make a little more space so that your right temple can kiss the mat. Feel Feel that support of the earth. Allow yourself to soften. And then once more, we'll gather our resources of strength, of inner fire, of will. And you can start to bring that energy to your core as you balance on your belly, lifting the head, the heart, the arms, the legs, allowing yourself to float over the earth like a flying superhero. Maybe you even rock your body a little side to side. Or you might swim your arms left to right. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll float the arms back behind you. Turn your gaze this time to the right. Soften all of your effort. Allow the left temple to kiss the mat. Soften all of your effort here. Once more, practice delight in a time of rest. Allowing yourself to soften and feel all the support of the earth rising to meet you. Allowing the breath to cascade down the side of the neck. And then on the next inhale, we'll bring the palms underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under. Press ourselves up to tabletop. And then we'll either move into a downward dog or however you'd like to come to your forward fold. Eventually, we'll meet up in forward fold. If you'd like to take a supported downward dog, I would encourage you to either try the blocks on the low setting, making sure they're not going to slip or slide. You could bring your heel of your hand to the edge of the block and then tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and maybe come up onto the balls of the toes. Then you could walk the heels, pedaling the heels, sashaying the hips. You could also do this from a chair. So if I were going to use my chair, I would walk my hands up to my chair, and then I stretch my arms out onto the chair, the seat of the chair, and lengthen the hips back behind me. So this is like a chair dog. From wherever you're at, go ahead and walk your feet forward towards your hands or your hands back towards your feet. And you can either bring your hands to blocks on the high setting, press them against your shins if you don't have blocks, or maybe even use your chair to press into the seat. We'll inhale wherever you're pressing into, come up halfway with a flat back. Exhale to forward fold. Go ahead and take 2 more rounds, inhaling for Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, exhaling, forward fold. Go ahead and take 1 more nice deep breath like this. And then when you're ready, you can sweep your arms out to the side, press into your legs, rise up to stand, and we'll bring the hands to the heart center. We're going to get set up, even though my head is cut off, for Warrior One. So from here, I think this will help because I'm going to be coming into a lunge. I'm going to step the left foot forward and the right foot back. And you can soften that heel down to the mat. So finding this version of a lunge, you can keep your hands on your hips, bring them to your heart center, or you might float your arms up towards the sky, lifting the heart and the gaze if it feels okay for the shoulders. Take a nice deep breath, and on the next exhale, we'll bring the hands down. You can float them back, or maybe interlace them behind you, or tug onto your shirt, or even bring that strap. It's kind of far for me right now, so I'm not going to grab the strap, but you can hold the strap in between your hands. We're going to come into humble warrior torso to come down and rest on your front leg. You can either leave your hands at your low back, or you might even bring your hands down to blocks. Another option, if it feels okay for the shoulders, is to peel the arms away so that the knuckles start to fall overhead if you have like a bind with your hands. When you're ready, you can lower your hands back down to the back of your mat, or the back of your back, and then we'll bring the blocks out in front. Walk your hands up and then pivot onto the ball of your back toes. And then from here, we'll step that foot in and find a forward fold. From here, you can inhale, pressing into your supports to lift up halfway, either your legs or your chair or your blocks, and then exhale to forward fold. We'll press into the feet and come back up to stand, and exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. Go ahead and release your hands to your sides, standing in your mountain pose for a moment. Then we'll get ready to do the other side. So I'm going to leave my right foot forward, step the left foot back. I believe this is the opposite of what I did last time. So if it's not, then do the other side. See about feeling balanced. Yes, I believe this is right. From here, you can leave your hands at your hips. Your back heel can be down on the mat. And then we can either leave the hands here, bring them to your heart center, or maybe you float the arms up and overhead, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze. Allow the shoulders to soften away from the ears. And here we are in Virabhadrasana, Warrior One. On the next exhale, you can bring the hands down to your sides, to your hips, or interlace them behind you. If you interlace them behind you, maybe try doing it the opposite way. And then on your inhale, you can lift your heart. Exhale, start to bow your torso forward, allowing your torso to come and rest on your front thigh. You could peel your hands away from your low back if that feels okay for the shoulders, or bring your hands down to your blocks. That's where we'll eventually meet. Take another nice deep breath here, and then we'll land the hands on the blocks. I'm going to just frame the front foot and lift onto the heel, or lift the heel, of the back foot. And then you can start to hop that foot forward, and we'll come into a forward fold. And maybe you allow yourself for a moment to ragdoll here. So you could wrap your hands around your opposite elbows and just allow your head to hang heavy. Allow yourself to soften. And then we'll bring the hands down to the mat or blocks or the chair. Walk the feet back to find downward dog. And take a few rounds of breath there if you like. Or you might land the knees. I personally like sitting on my heels, but it's by no means a requirement. So you could find a child's pose, downward dog, or sitting on your heels is called, like this, is hero's pose, Virasana, but you don't have to stay long. Because actually, it's time for our favorite pose, Shavasana. So whenever you're ready, you can make your way back onto your back if you like, or you could sit for the last bit of class. We'll have a short reading, and then we'll have relaxation. So if you'd like to use something to support underneath your knees, maybe you want to lift your legs onto a chair. That would be like legs on the chair. Could be nice. Or bring your knees over a bolster and allow yourself to find corpse pose. Shavasana. As you begin to arrive in your final resting pose, whatever shape that might be, allow your forehead to begin to soften. You might decide to allow beautiful, delicate eyelids to close over your eyes. Allow your breath to begin to breathe itself, releasing control. Feel the earth rise to meet you. You might take your awareness deep into your heart space. Maybe you can sit with all the past versions of yourself and your ancestors around the glorious bonfire at your heart. Coming back to the idea of asteya, non-stealing. Just have one more short reading from the book by Deborah Adele. My ancestors sacrificed so much for me. They endured hardships beyond my comprehension, with only one thought, that of the upcoming generations. They literally gave their lives to create beauty on the earth and better times for the future. I realize the incredible love that my life stands on. Remembering our ancestors and the mystery that brought us into being is a way to reframe the sacredness of our own lives and the sacredness of the lives that will come after us. It is to find ourselves as current caretakers in this lineage of past and future lives. It is to find ourselves with our direction pointed to those who will come after us. Albert Einstein said, 100 times a day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life depend on the labors of other people, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the full measure I have received and am still receiving. Allow yourself this moment to just receive, softening all of your effort. body into the next part of your day. Start to invite some movement into your fingers, into your toes, gently rotating your wrists and ankles. Allow yourself to find a long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears, and then rolling onto one side. You can find a fetal position. When you feel ready, pressing yourself up into a seat, finding any comfortable seat. You can invite your hands to meet at your heart center in a gesture of gratitude, what we call Anjali Mudra, with hands touching the heart, touching each other at the heart space. You can allow your head to gently bow towards your heart, acknowledging the wisdom of your loving heart. To close class, I say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, which means peace, peace, peace. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you to my amazing musician husband. And just wait a moment and I will stop the recording. You can let me know if you have thoughts or questions on